All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another version or episode of the Add Water and Stir podcast. This is Mimi from the blog Complicated Melody, and I am here with my co-host, ABM. Say hey to the people, ABM.
What's up, everybody? Adopted Black Mom in the house from the blog of the same name. Hi.
And welcome. So, how's it going? Let's get started. Let's just go ahead and jump into
Let's
it.
jump in. It's been a
Are,
kind of crazy week. I was just in our little pre-show chat, just telling Mimi that we had an episode with Yappy. His foot got stuck in the elevator door. Don't worry, he's fine. But he bit me repeatedly, so. As we were at the veterinary ER, the veterinarian was like, he's okay. You might want to go get your hand checked out. But I'm on the mend. We're doing fine, and had a snow day today, and lots going on. I had my guest blog on America Adopts posted, I think, on Tuesday, and I'd like to thank a lot of folks for stopping by the blog. My stats were up this week, so
awesome.
new followers, and the blog was really about understanding that as the adoptive parent of an older child, she lived a life before she came to me, and how you kind of have to live with that and how make space for it. And it's not always easy, but it's in everybody's best interest to do that. So I want to thank America Adopts for the opportunity to, post something. So good looking out.
Excellent. ABM is doing big things, leaving her mark in the blogosphere. That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Oh, and one last thing. As a snow day, today was a snow day, I finally got a chance to watch Angela Tucker's documentary Closure. Finally, it's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, you should see it. I cried through most of it. I'm so glad it was a good experience for her, even though there were some real challenges. It's a really great documentary, and it made me think a lot about the eventual meeting that I know that we will have with Hope's extended family, and and maybe one day with her surviving birth parent. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it definitely gave me some things to think about in terms of how to support her and how to love on her during, that journey should she choose to take it. So definitely shout out to Angela Tucker. Great documentary.
I agree with you wholeheartedly in that. I saw her documentary a while ago. I think it was on Centric or something.
Yeah.
And it made me really think about reaching out to Nana's first family earlier than later, right? Because the earlier that we can get in touch with them, the less questions, that she may have to start looking for as she gets older. And it just made me really say, okay, this is something that we probably will go through. And again, like you just said, how can I support my child in going through that process? And Angela's mom was awesome through that process. So supportive, so unselfish, so caring, and just willing to be there for her child. It was just really amazing to watch. And I can only hope to be as graceful as she was in that situation.
Yeah. Definitely shout out to her mom. I mean, I want to be like her when I grow up.
I know. I don't think I'm able, but she was really awesome.
So yeah. So what's been going on with you in the last 2 weeks?
Well, let's see. We last weekend we had the adoption panel, which went really well. People that attended were like, I really enjoyed it. Of course, as the coordinator, you're always looking like, okay, next time I'm going to do this, and next time I'm going to do that. But I did get to debrief with some people afterwards, and they were like, no, this was really good. We went to lunch afterwards. We had discussions. It really made us start talking about our next steps. So I would consider it a success. It wasn't as many people as I wanted to, but next time it's going to be bigger and bigger. I did get to connect with some other people who are doing work around adoption and adoption ministry, and who knows where this is going. So we'll just continue on this ride and see how where that takes us.
Woo-woo. Mimi doing
Yes.
big work in the on ground, like just stepping on out there. Congrats.
Thank you. And we just over here living life. We're thinking about putting Nana in soccer because I don't know what happened at 3, but
Like three?
hmm?
Is she like three?
She's 3
Okay,
and
see,
she
I
has
missed all of this. I didn't know that, like, now they got soccer for like 3-year-olds, which must be corralling crack cats.
I don't know. This will be our first time going. So I'm excited about it. I think it'll be good because it'll get some of that energy out. I mean, she just I don't know what happened at 3. All of a sudden, this threshold happened, and then it's just like she got shot with an extra boost of energy. So we need to do something to kind of help her get some of that energy out. And I think it'll also help her kind of listen better, work on her balance. She's always jumping around and flipping and doing all kind of stuff. So I think it'll be good.
Good deal. Wow. Wow. Good deal. So, what are we talking about tonight? Woo-hoo.
So today, I found we didn't have any major topics to talk about, but we did find some articles that I wanted to talk about, and one of them, well, a couple of them had to do with aging parents. Well, actually, not really aging parents, becoming an older parent. So, one of the topics was called "Is waiting to have kids a big mistake?" And really, in this article, a lot of the articles that you read about waiting to have kids do focus on maybe the biological piece of it, right? So, if I wait to have a kid until I'm 40, what impact might that have on me from a biological standpoint? Like, am I at increased risks of having challenges with my pregnancy or my child having some kind of birth challenges or things like that. But from our side, since we didn't go through the biological piece of it, I wanted to kind of talk about the other part of waiting to have children or waiting to become a parent. And so some of the things that were talked about in the article talked about the fact that she'll be older when her child is, you know, like she won't be an empty nester until she's at least 54.
Mm.
And I was like, ooh. I didn't think about things like that. And it's something that I'm already seeing, right, is a little bit of, which is taking care of your parents while you're raising a child, right? Taking care of your growing kids and things like that. So I wanted to kind of walk through that since well, let's take a step back. So, what is an older parent? What does it mean to be an older parent? Like, what age is this? And so, I was looking up some stuff, and I was like, well, what age? Am I in the cutoff yet? So, well, I think I'm definitively in that cutoff age, but from a biological standpoint, I think at the age of 35, that's when they start making those notations on your chart, being of advanced maternal age, right?
Yes. Mm.
So I think we both have passed that mark. We don't have to, give it up exactly how old we are, but we passed the advanced maternal age piece. Um, and so I just wanted to give some stats. So in 1970, the average first-time mother was 21. And then in 2008, it was 27. Sorry, 25.1. That's the average age for the
Right.
first-time mother. And then some other stats is 14% of all births are to women 35 plus. So but what I haven't been able to find is information about like how many mothers are there out there right now that have kind of like actively young people in their house in our age range. I wish I could find some information about that. So
Mm.
didn't find that. But anyway, I wanted to get your thoughts on when you decided to become a parent.
Okay.
Um, was age a factor into your decision? Did you wait on purpose, or was this happenstance, or what are the things that went into your decision about when you wanted to start
Okay.
focus on parenting?
Well, it's funny because I think I think in the about page on my blog and in the very first post, I talk a bit about why this is happening, why this happened at this stage of my life. And I knew I always wanted to adopt, but adoption wasn't going to be my like nonstop path to parenthood. It was supposed to be a plus up, if
Mhm.
you will.
Mhm.
It was supposed to be a way of expanding an already existing nuclear family with a husband and probably, at least one biological child. Well, Grammy started asking after I turned 30, like, so, she started looking at her
Mhm.
watch.
Yeah, giving
Like,
you
so
the
what's up?
side eye.
So
What?
what's up?
Mhm.
And I told her
What you
at
doing?
that point, if it hadn't happened, then I would pursue adoption at 35. So then 35 came and she was like, okay,
Mhm. Any news?
so like when am I gonna get some kids
Right.
right here? And I just still wasn't ready. And then so there was that piece of age, like I said, okay, well I'm gonna put a clock on that. But it wasn't there was something about being on the precipice. I don't mind telling my age. I'm 42. I just turned 42 because my thing is the alternative to being 42 is not being 42.
Okay. Like being dusty,
Yeah,
dust,
like,
not
ashes
being
to
here.
ashes, dust to
Mhm.
dust. So, I'm okay with disclosing my age. But there was something about getting ready to turn 40 that wasn't scary or anything, but I had gone through a major life crisis and then was looking at, turning 40 and said, wow, I have this great life, but it isn't the life that I thought it would be at this stage. So it looks like if this is going to happen, I need to make this happen. And so I guess I'm going to do it now. I always knew I also wanted to adopt an older child. So the whole infant thing was never really something that I considered having those extra years because I was like, that daycare game scared me.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Mhm. And 3-year-old soccer too.
And
Yeah.
3-year-old soccer, like,
Mhm.
you know, that all like just wasn't ever a part of the story that I thought I would create. So there was something about turning 40 that had something to do with it, but it wasn't. I don't know. I
I
didn't think about it as being I'm going to be an older parent. And in
so
some
it
disclosure, when like
happenstance.
when Mimi said sent me like these articles, I was like, so wait a minute.
What you trying to say?
Who we talking about? And so then she started doing math on like, if I had Hope biologically, like how old I would have been when I had her, and which would have been 30, which still would have been beyond kind of what the average,
Yeah,
age
but
was.
I think in general 30 is probably like okay, acceptable nowadays, right? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think for professional women, yes. For
Mhm.
professional women, I think that 30 is still, in the range.
Yeah, I feel like if you, at least in my crew, but we might be the old kid having crew too. So in my range, if you had children in 30, you'd be like, whoa, girl, that is, why'd you do it so young? That's what's happening in my crew. So our story is, it's also happenstance story, and I think I didn't have a number. I think when I was younger, though, I thought I was gonna have children like 25. I was gonna, you know. And actually, a lot of people that I went to school with got married right out of college and had children, still married. So I have a lot of examples of people like that. I also have a lot of examples of people like me, which are the people over 35 who are just now starting to become parents. So I have a lot of people in both of those age range, and it wasn't purposeful, but we got married in 2010 and started on our journey to building a family, and it just did not happen for us until 2014. And so that's a 4-year journey. And I think, for some people, that's just what it takes. It takes a little bit longer once you start getting into that AMA. right? To to get it. But what we didn't think about, because I will say that my younger years were fun. I had a great time. I was happy. Um, but what we didn't think about is all the things that happened on the other side. So here's a couple of things they talked about. I said, let's talk through these. So here's the positive thing. Here's a couple of positive things. One, more emotionally stable. So do you think that that is one of the pluses for you, and being an older parent? Can we get maybe let's come up with a different term for this instead of an older parent? How about a I was gonna say mature mommy, but that's not cute. Cute.
That's like that More magazine, which just annoys me.
Much a mature mommy. Okay, we'll figure something out.
I'm
Anyway,
okay. So, but yeah, I do think emotionally more emotionally stable. I tell people all the time that I'm a big fan of therapy. I think that it's healthy. It's something that's still rather taboo in communities of color, but I tell people all the time it is the most delightfully narcissistic hour that I spend on myself. I mean, there's something decadent about spending, some money to go to somebody and talk about yourself for an hour.
that is true.
So, go do it.
Especially because your girlfriends, they don't want to hear about your problems that
Yeah.
long.
And they're not going to ask some of the questions that you need a professional to ask, like, are you sure about that?
Right.
But but I say that I draw on those years of therapy hard, and I realize that I'm a lot stronger than I thought because of it. And so I would definitely say having more years under your belt um, definitely, I think, serves us well. You're more creative in terms of thinking, problem solving too.
I thought about this and I said, I'm not sure this is a plus for me. I'm still struggling with this notion that I don't know, you're not mature until you turn 30 or something like that, because I felt like I was very mature in my 20s. And I don't know, I feel like if I had a child at a younger age, then I would have adapted emotionally to having a child in my younger years. And yeah, I don't know if that's a plus for me. Like, I don't know if I'm necessarily more emotionally stable than I was in my 20s. Maybe worse off because I've had more time to think about the things that I want to change about myself. So I don't know. That one's still kind of up in the air for me.
Hmm.
So number two is intellectually equipped, more intellectually equipped. Um,
Some days.
yeah, I just I don't know. I feel like that's still a statement. What does it mean to be more intellectually equipped? Meaning, like, I know more about parenting or read more about parenting and things like that. Sometimes that's a plus, because I'm exposed to more ideas that I can try out with my child.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and because of my education, that makes me seek out probably more alternatives than I would have when I was younger. So that's a plus. But at the same time, it can probably be paralyzing, right? Because now you're reading so much and having all these thoughts about, is this the right way or is this the right way? You have so many different sources of information versus kind of going with maybe your common sense and gut feel when I was younger.
Yeah. So I've actually put the article that we're chatting about now in the showcase so that people can take a look, see at it. I think that for me, number one and number two, this emotionally stable and intellectually equipped kind of go hand in hand. And really, I think it's just about life experience and having, again, those few more years under your belt of just
Yeah,
just living and
yeah,
surviving.
of course. The more you live, the better you're supposed to get at things.
Yeah.
But I don't. I guess my point is, I don't necessarily see that as a win for waiting. Like, if I was trying to give somebody a reason for waiting to have children, I don't know if I would put that in the bucket.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think that we also have enough case studies probably statistically as well as anecdotally, that I mean, my parents had me pretty young. They were both in their early 20s, and I think I came out all right. They seemed like they
You
knew what
made
they
it.
were
You
doing,
made it.
you know, like, my sisters and I are all, pretty productive and well functioning, and like, nobody, we're doing it. We're okay. And so, how I mean, and we can all say that they came up in a different era and it was different and blah 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 blah. But I mean, they came up in the 50s, 60s, and 50s and 60s, and they have challenges that are quite different from what we are now have now. They had less resources than what I have access to now,
Hmm.
and I mean, I turned out okay.
Amazingly okay. So
Like, I got dropped a couple of times, but that's
you don't remember that. You only know that because they told you.
right.
So the third one on here is more financially secure. And so yes, again, that is one on the winning side. So yes, we are more financially secure,
Mhm.
which allows us to um, do these things like soccer or have her in this really nice daycare and all these things like that. What I think it's also based on privilege, right? So we're kind of in a social class or a privileged class where, of course, getting older gives us more money, but I don't know if that's the that might not be the same for everybody, right? So just being an older parent or waiting doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be more financially secure or better with money or any of those things. It does for me, but I
Well,
don't know. I'm still struggling with this article. Like, are these the good things about being, waiting to be a parent?
Well, I think that this article makes some huge assumptions, and that is if you're becoming a parent in your late 30s and 40s, then it's going to typically not be like, oops, I got pregnant.
Right. Right.
It's not going to typically be an oops. It's actually going to be something either by pregnancy or assisted reproductive technologies that may or may not include pregnancy or surrogacy or adoption or any of the number of ways that we can, acquire
Hmm.
a child. Um, but that there is an assumption that there is a very deliberate choice
Right.
and decisions that have been made, and that they are informed decisions that are rooted in more emotional stability, financial stability. You're making informed decisions, so there's an intellectual component there, versus the early youthful mom. I'm having issues with this. I think I'm still pretty fine. 42 is the new 22. But 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 it's not. It's different if it's a oops, there goes my clothes, and oops, I got a baby kind of.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. True. It just this article does just seem to be written in a sense of that if I do this, what if I'm older and I want to have a child and I'm not all these things, right? If I'm not more financially secure, or I don't know. So I would say
I like
yes,
this whole
financially.
first. Oh, go ahead.
Hmm?
I
Go
was gonna.
ahead.
I think that this whole like positive spin is just a way to shade the young moms. That's all. And young
But
parents.
that's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering, right? So of course, one of the things they're saying, well, we are. She says, I have a quarter of a century's worth of contributions in my 401k, so we're able to provide our daughter with a warm home and benefit a good education. Then we can afford to hire a sitter when we want to give ourselves a night out, and we'll be able to go give her trips and cultural experiences. I think you can do some of those things if you weren't necessarily wherever she is in her life.
Yeah.
But I will say though that of course I think one of the things it does is actually make you less flexible because we are making all these decisions very consciously. That's one of the reasons why we're trying to decide if we're going to do another one, right? Have another child because we're like, okay, but we really like our life. We've like waited till we're over 35 to have a child, and we enjoy the life that we're living. And so this one we can afford, and it really isn't taking us off our square too much. But the next one is going to be more of a struggle. And so maybe we should wait a little bit more or really think through this thing, right? So it makes us less flexible, which could be, uh, making us miss a blessing in that versus maybe if I was younger and less emotionally secure and intellectually grounded, I would have just made the decision and went for it and had more children.
Mm-hmm. Before we move off of the financial one, I did find an article about um, how the rising age of parents affects the economy, and it was really kind of interesting because they talked about, of course, why parents are older, and that's because particularly professional women are putting off having kids until they're older and established professionally, which means that their productivity economically is higher younger, which typically women don't hit their peak until probably anywhere from 15, 20 years later than men do.
Mm-hmm.
But women now are kind of trying to push that earlier, which means that they end up having far more, economic productivity over the course of their lives. And even though there's a greater risk for folks that are having biological kids of abnormalities as you get older into that, advanced maternal age stuff, just but there's more, there's higher risk associated with having kids older, both for the mom and for the child. Those folks are typically more likely to have insurance and more economically stable because they've put it off and delayed
Yes.
it and acquired this nest egg to kind of go into this situation that offsets any expenditures that are brought about by having kids at an advanced age. And so and they've also typically made more progress planning for retirement, and so that kids aren't then burdened with having an older parent while they're very young and not as productive. And so it was just kind of interesting to see that it was like, hey, this is probably not such a bad thing economically.
I think that's an interesting point. I wanted to, listening to you, I'm thinking, well, how does this impact this whole lean in movement, right? So if I'm waiting, did I just see you give the
Yes.
God?
That's a
Okay.
whole nother that's a whole nother
Okay,
podcast.
I don't want to get too much in it, but I just wanted to add to the point. So if, and I will say this is something that comes across my mind all the time. So if women are kind of pushing themselves to become more productive earlier in their careers because there's kind of this long-term thinking like, okay, well, I plan to have kids around this time, so I need to like really push my career forward. Also, the fact that I've saved money, I've created a nest egg, I've put money into my 401k, I'm set up financially. It seems like that might make you more likely for women to opt out at that time because now we have the finances to do so. And I've kind of gotten to a point in my career where I feel comfortable with stepping out for a while and feeling like I can come back in a little bit later. It seems like that would be more of an impetus to opt out. I know I've thought about it, not necessarily, partly because of having Nana around and spending time with her, but also your values just start to change, and you're just like, well, what is all this about anyway? So,
Yeah.
so
I'll save my
anyway,
diatribe for lean in to a final.
I just want to add to that point about, women being more ready financially to have children, and maybe you're also ready to leave the workforce too.
Yeah, this is true. So, what else
Um,
we got?
let's see. So she says that we take less for granted.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And kids keep us young.
I don't believe that. So,
Let's hear about it.
let me tell you, listen, that 13-year-old in the room next door is like just shaving years off of my my stress level is here. I mean, I think in the one hand it does, and especially since I think I wrote about it. Was that last week, surfboards and whatnot, about how
Yes.
we're dealing with language and hey, what do words mean and everything. And it's really funny that my Urban Dictionary vocabulary is far more extensive to her than hers. Maybe that's a part of that, like, number two intellectually depth. I don't know, but but there's a part of it that I guess is true, but I also think that the rigors of parenthood later pose different kinds of challenges, that I'm like, there's just a lot to remember, and you're getting to a period of your life where you're starting to arc.
And you're starting to throw things out of you. At this point, you were starting to throw things out of your mind that just didn't make sense or you didn't really want to keep. And now you have to hold on to those things so you understand what your child is talking about.
Right.
Um,
This whole, like, things less for granted. I think that we've also dismissed a lot of the fluff in our lives, and having kids requires you to bring fluff back just so that you can communicate with them.
mhm. Yes.
You know.
So starting to become familiar with pop culture that you would have. I have a godchild, and sometimes my friend will talk to me about a movie she saw, and I was like, I don't know what movie you're talking about. Some kids movie because I just never paid attention to them. But now I have to because here comes Nana talking about I want to see Frozen and all this stuff. And I'm like, how do you even know about this? But now these things are part of our lives, that things that I would not have paid attention to before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so on the less positive side, so those are all the positives. Did you have some more positives to add to waiting, um, waiting to become a mother?
I mean, yeah, they keep you young, but I mean, I think that there is a space where, because you've made this very conscious decision and you've kind of propped yourself and created a scenario for you to be successful, air quotes, in a number of ways in parenting, that I don't know if it necessarily keeps you young, but there is a piece of it in terms of, um, that I can't say it's not more meaningful, but it's just that you can kind of take some stuff in stride,
Okay,
that I probably wouldn't have taken in stride in my 20s.
okay.
And there's things that I find so much more humorous, that she's experiencing, that I probably wouldn't have found as humorous in my 20s because I was only like 10 years removed from it.
It was too close. You would
Yeah,
have been too close to it.
yeah. So, I got a couple more. I got another decade under my belt that I just find things far more humorous than I probably would have 10 to 20 years ago.
Well, maybe this falls under emotionally stable, even though I kicked that one to the curb. But I think being an older parent or whatever, however we want to call it, but I think I'm more, even though I have challenges, I feel more confident in myself. Like I know myself better. And I know what things that I can deal with and what things I can't. I know where my limits are. I know when I can start needing to ask for help. I
Hmm.
mean, some of that is still a learning process, in relationship to parenthood, but I feel like I'm much farther along in that than I probably would have been in my 20s.
Mm.
And I'm okay because I'm more confident to be like, you know what, I can't do this. I don't want to do this, or I need some help doing this. I feel a little bit more confident in that than maybe I would have in my younger years.
Yeah. All right.
So on the last positive, so they have become elderly while she is young. And then at the same time, I'll just add this other one to it, and we may become a burden on our child. And so for me, this is an important piece. It's one of the things where I feel like Wood and I, have to get our finances and affairs in order because we are older. I mean, in general, we should just be doing that anyway, but I want to make sure that Nana has everything she needs um, if something did happen to us. And then I also want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves from a health standpoint, but also from a financial and setup standpoint so that we're not a burden to her. So she doesn't have to be concerned with that type of stuff. I don't want her to be 20 and feel like she has to stay at home and take care of us, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that it's tough because you get to the 40 somethings and you're like 40 is the new 20 or the new 30 or whatever, and then 50 is the new, 18, 60 is the new, and all of this kind of carry on reverse, Benjamin Button aging kind of thing. And so it's kind of easy to get in denial about age. But estate planning is really, really important, and it's tough. It's a conversation I'm starting to have with my parents, and I don't know about you, but my experience in at least for me as African American, my family, like estate planning. Oh no, no, we don't want to talk about that.
Ma'am, that is a hard conversation. I Let me tell you, Wood doesn't even want to have that conversation. So it's challenging.
And so, getting long-term care insurance and all of these kinds of things, and kind of making sure that you have enough and of whatever it is that you need enough of, it's
Hmm.
challenging. And so I can see, that this less positive piece is, you get to a certain age and the likelihood that slipping on a banana peel will take you out of here grows higher. And you got to plan for that. And you're right. I don't want Hope to be, in her 20s and having to, figure out how to take care of me.
Hmm.
That's a scary
Yeah,
thing. So,
it's
so
very scary to me.
yeah.
I just, and I think because on the other side, I see it with my parents. I just, it's, my mother is still very healthy, but she is getting older. And so I think about that. Okay, if she needed to come stay with us, we'd be a sandwich kind of family.
Mhm.
And I want Nana to not have to have that as her burden.
Yeah. Yeah.
So number two was potential culture gap. And I was like, yeah, of course. I think in music, uh, there's probably a lot of culture gap and just general kind of as Nana grows and gets more into television and pop culture, there'll be always a gap. I'll be continuously learning from her. But I think Wood and I are very old school anyway, so we keep her. Nana watches Sanford and Son, and
Oh,
that's what
good
she does
stuff.
with her dad every day. So, and she listens to Earth, Wind, and Fire and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. So she's getting it honest over here. So she might be an old soul.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a big, I mean, there is certainly a culture um, um, gap for us, but it really kind of more exists on the I don't know who these people on Disney are. But I have a
Yes.
feeling that within it's March. I have a feeling by December we will be past Disney.
Okay.
Um, because I don't think that Disney is going to be cool in high school.
Okay.
I think
You
it's going
ready for that? You
to
gearing up for
be.
that?
I'm gearing up for it. And so,
Put your arm on.
Uh, dude, man. But it's like I said, I'm still a little bit ahead of her on the Urban Dictionary lingo. I'm still ahead of her. I'm teaching her about lyrics and songs and kind of interpreting lyrics as poetry and kind of understanding big picture stuff um, and so there is one that exists, but it's funny because I think that as much as she's seen in her life, she is very naive on a lot of things, and so we haven't gotten to that big thing. But like I said, high school is in 6 months, and I have a feeling that by December it's going to be a bold new world up in this joint. So somebody's going to school her, and I'm going to be so hurt.
You're gonna be like, what? What are y'all talking about? But I see the culture gap with me, even in random things people are talking about on the internet. I'm like, huh? I have to Google it. So definitely, I can see this happening with Nana in the future.
Well, I will say it's funny because we have a big debate between Spotify and Pandora, and when we get in the car, though, I get to listen. I have complete. That is my domain. You can't
Yes, in the
drive.
car.
So,
Whoever's driving is in charge of the radio.
and since there's only one driver,
Yep.
so we're road tripping tomorrow, so it will be Chubb Rock Radio
All
for
right. Hey, here comes the brand new flavor in your ear. Hey. All right.
body
Okay.
roll.
Oh. Okay. So let's see what they got. Number three, we're tired.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I concur with this. I'm tired. I am tired. None of us to play all the time. I'm so tired. Oh,
That was true.
yes.
That's true. True.
Yes. So we nothing else to say. Yes, we agree.
We agree.
People will think we're the grandparents.
No.
I just don't.
No.
What is this lady talking about?
I rebuke
I
that.
said who? I'm just wondering who her friends are because I guess in the daycare that I belong to, everybody is clearly 30 plus bringing their kids in there. So I don't see anybody in their 20s bopping on in there. And then maybe it's because my daycare is affiliated with my company. So
Mm.
I guess this goes to that class thing and the professional women, but nobody's thinking I'm her grandparent. Because we're all looking the same harried look like, let me hurry up and drop you off. I have to go to this conference call. If you don't hurry up and walk to this classroom, we're going to be late. Everybody has that look, so.
Yeah, I mean, clearly I have a lot of salt and pepper, but I don't get that. And I think that the other thing for Hope and I is that when we enter a store, 97.99995% of the time we're bickering. So people just start laughing at us. It is very clear that we are a mother-daughter unit. Because I don't know people that bicker with their grandma quite like that. Down
But
on
I already told you, you don't really have a gap. You're still actually an
yeah,
on
yeah,
pace mother, you
yeah.
know. So
All right.
so that's it. That's all the things she talked about in the article. So we'd love to hear your thoughts. Anybody that is of advanced maternal age and is a parent.
Here we go. Come
ABM does not like that title at all. But if you're a mature mommy, if you
Mature. I can live with that one.
mature, I don't like the word mature. If you
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
40.
last month, AARP sent me a memorial, and I was
Ooh, why are you
salty.
this time?
I was so salty, but then then some of my friends were like, "Oh no, you know that they got sued for age discrimination." So, just if you were ever wondering, you can still join. You don't have to be 50 to join, and apparently the perks are great when you whip out your card when you go to Kohl's on Tuesdays or whatever
So you
day.
mean I can join AARP right now?
Yes, you can join as like an associate member or something, and it's a slightly discounted rate, but you get your little card, and so like I said, you can go to IHOP and get
No
that
thanks.
basically.
I feel like I'm too close. Like if I was in my 20s, it'd be like ironic, right? Yeah, I'm an AARP member. But right now I just feel like, somebody might actually mistake me and then I'll be upset about it.
I was salty. I was really salty, bitter and petty. So we have another topic. It's 10:15, so we got one more topic that I kind of wanted to bring to the table to chat about. So we've got this family
Yes.
in my neck of the woods in Maryland, and they just eyeballing it. Okay, I'm going to
Mm.
be judgy Judy here. Just eyeballing it. They appear to be parents who are a little bit older, advanced maternal age. Anyway, they have. I want to say it's. I'm trying to find my little article here. I don't want to hit that one because I know there's a video. So they have kids who are in still single digits, and they are I think one of them is like 5 and the other one is like 7 or 8 or something like that. And these parents, mom and dad, let their kids walk to the library and to the park and any couple of other places, the school or whatever, unaccompanied, and some of their destinations are about a mile away. And I guess a couple months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, someone saw the kids walking and, were like, oh my God, there's kids like, on the street by themselves and this is not safe. And they called the police. And so the local CPS in their jurisdiction opened a case file, and it turned into this whole thing. It's national news. And the parents said that they're practicing what you call free range parenting, but CPS said, well, you have unsubstantiated. They found them guilty, or they charged them with unsubstantiated child neglect, and it's not a charge that they're going to go to jail for or anything, but they're going to have an open case file for about 5 years, and essentially they're saying it's not okay to like send your 7-year-old to the library that's over a mile away by his or herself.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, thought that this was all very interesting. I mean, I have an older daughter who is, I at this point would like to free range parent a little bit, but she is not having none of that.
She wants you to walk right next to her.
Yes. And so, but I thought it was kind of interesting, because essentially the couple are disputing this whole, episode as just being preposterous by saying, we want to be able to parent the way that we think is appropriate. We think that free range parenting, which is essentially we want to teach our kids responsibility, and we want to empower them to go to the park by themselves to go play, or empower them to go to the library or to walk to school by themselves, if it's within that bigger walking distance, which at least around here, I think you have to be less than 2 miles away, to where the bus is not going to come fetch you. And so, they're like, we're not going to take our kids to school. They can walk. And so, it's really pretty interesting. There's the NBC affiliate in Chicago did a flash poll yesterday on what's your take on free range parenting, and 73% of respondents said it's normal, to send your single digit kid out out in Chicago, apparently. It currently says it's 13 degrees in Chicago. That it teaches responsibility, and 27% said it's unsafe and it's a form of neglect, to not supervise your child. And the parents said, well, this is how we were raised. You could go out and play until the streetlights came on, and so, I kind of wanted to mention it because I thought it was kind of interesting. I want to hear what, when are you going to let Nana start, walking to soccer practice?
I feel like I'm kind of a free range parent. I think I wrote about this earlier on my blog. Way more free than Wood is. So we have to come to a compromise with that. First, there's a couple things that I thought about with this article or this issue. One, they're luckily they didn't get arrested, because the lady that worked at McDonald's and let her child play in the park, even though she had a cell phone and all those things, she was arrested for doing something very similar. So
privilege.
Hello, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but since you said it. So anyway, so they did not get arrested. In fact, they were able to go on a media tour, and talk about their ideas and their philosophies and everything, which is fine, because I actually do agree with their philosophy in that we do. I would like to live in a place where I was able to parent in a responsible way, in a way that I felt was responsible, in a way that I felt like was safe. I mean, they pretty much gave very detailed things about how they manage their children. I mean, they give them a card and talks about, I'm lost and this is my parents' information. I mean, they really have. It's not like they just back in the day when we were younger just ran out and just said get out the house and don't come back until later. So they're like very deliberate about how they're setting them up for success. And so I don't know, I just have a challenge with this. Parenting, it's not even that it's so scary, but other people make you so scared. So it's unfortunate that if you did want to do these type of things, if I wanted to let Nana, not right now because she's too young actually, but if she was 6 and she wanted to go outside and play in the front yard, I don't want people calling CPS on us,
Right.
because she's playing by herself and she's having a good time, and maybe she sees a friend down the street and she decides to walk down the street to him. So what happened to the village? I feel like when we were younger and we did see a child that was lost or anything, we would ask them. I don't think there's a lot of respect for children,
Mm.
and their ability to articulate what's happening with them. Usually adults would, used to ask, "Are you lost?" And if you said no, they'd be like, well, she's not lost. She
Yeah.
has somewhere that she's going. So let me mind my business." So
I
I
think
don't
you bring up a good point, and you've talked about this on previous podcasts. This kind of notion of of personhood with kids, and kind of validating that. And yeah, they've had a big media tour. They've been on the Today Show. They've been on the local affiliates. It's been they've gotten a lot of attention. Whereas my girl,
know.
who's at McDonald's, ain't getting no attention. But
She did get the attention of the cops. She got a mug shot and she got her hands put behind her back and all kinds of stuff.
right. And so, but it's interesting because, when they were on, I think on the Today Show a few months ago, the kids were there and they were like, okay, so what happened when the person saw you there? They asked us, were we lost? And we were like, no, we're,
Yeah,
we're on the way
I'm
to
not
the
lost.
we're good. And so yeah, the kids were kind of like, okay, but we told them we were good. We're good. We know where we're going. We know how long we're supposed to be there. We have like this idea of, what we're supposed to do when we're there and what time we are expected back. And it is kind of, it's unfortunate that I think that we've kind of evolved into this scary framework of parenting where we have to be afraid of everything and something bad is going to happen to our kid if we leave them unattended. And I think it also is wrapped up into these larger pieces of being a helicopter parent, which is completely the opposite end of the spectrum from free range parenting, where I work in an industry that involves graduate and professional students, and parents call me and I'm like, okay, but little Timmy is not little Timmy. Timmy's more like 25. I'm gonna
Right.
need to like have Timmy call me.
Yeah. Manage, they need to be able to manage their own self. But I think what it also does, and again, I continue to push back on this, it just makes parenting very stressful,
Yeah.
right? Um, and one of the reasons why maybe people would be able to have children, more children back in the day or whatever, is because they could send you outside and mom could get a break. She could talk on the phone to her friends and cook some food and do whatever she was doing in the household because you were outside managing yourself. But now I need to have crafts. I need to have activities planned. I need to be able to sit with you all the time throughout the day. And you know, your child might not be able to just go and play by themselves or imagine or do all these things because they're so used to parent leading their activities. It just makes it very stressful and has, a very high level of interaction and intensity for parenting.
Yeah. Yeah, the judgy parents. I mean, there's a lot of judgment. I write a lot about the judgment that I feel, whether real or perceived, on my blog. And, I think that I think we already put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
Hmm.
So the external pressure is wholly unnecessary.
Absolutely. Now, would you let Hope walk to the library by herself if she wanted to?
So yeah, actually I would. It's less than 2 miles away. It's a mile and a half away. I totally would. Totally would. And it's funny because a few weeks ago, I think, when I wrote about her finding her on the side of the road, and all the time that she was out and about, freewheeling, having a good old time in the afternoon, we lived like 2.1 miles away from the school. She could have walked home, and I would have
Hmm.
been completely okay with her walking home.
Hmm.
She could walk home now. I know she wouldn't,
Yeah.
but at 13, I do think that there's, some reins that I would let loose, because I mean, I had those. I mean, I was riding my bike a couple miles
Yeah.
away, at like 10.
Yeah, I was riding the bus. I mean, ooh. So I understand that times have changed, right? But I think a lot of it is parenting has changed,
Mm-hmm.
and the expectation of parents is just higher. And so allowing your child to ride the bus is just really, or just walk by themselves or go someplace unattended, is seen as negligent. You're not there to, you send them to the library. You're not there to pick out the books that they're going to read, and you're not able to manage who they talk to, and whew. So I'm hoping, I actually hope, because Nana is 3, so we have still a little bit of time. I'm hoping that the pendulum starts to swing back a little bit the other way, just to allow us some flexibility in how we manage that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, stay tuned on that story on free range parenting because from what I understand, the family is planning to bring suit. Um, because they got the
Hmm.
resources to do so.
Yes. And the media is behind them. I mean, no shade to them because of
Yeah.
what they have the ability to do, but there are a lot of people and that whose family are under investigation by CPS for much less than that.
Yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, it'll be an interesting story to continue to watch. And I think that they will be in the news again.
Yep.
So,
Man, we're almost to the end and we didn't get to do the wind down, and we had lots of stuff to talk about today.
yes. Okay, come on, come on. Can we take like one show?
Okay, which show are we going to? Well, the only show I got 2 shows that I can help you out on. Being Mary Jane and Empire. If
All
it's
right, so
anything
which
other than
one?
that, I can't help you. Haven't
Okay.
been watching them.
Okay. I've watched both of those. So which one? Pick one.
Um, Empire is way more entertaining, but being Mary Jane, I just was interested in that fertility piece in that segment, and also the whole thing about the friendships. You want to talk about that?
Uh,
No? Okay.
no, I do. No, 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 no. It was more of a angst, like, I don't particularly like Mary Jane very much.
Who does?
She is just a vapid creature, and yet my heart broke for her
Hmm.
in that moment of finding out that, she'd done this round of hormones and they were going to do this retrieval, and then she finds out that, it's not looking good. And that,
Hmm.
there may be, oh yeah, maybe we can do another round and everything, but it was just kind of, um, it was just really painful to watch and see, to Gabrielle Union's credit, like you could see kind of her life flash before her eyes in terms of what does this really mean? Does it mean that I'm never going to have a baby? Does it mean, what about this last relationship and the great love of my life? And what is it? And, am I still a woman? Kind of,
Hmm.
it was just really painful. But then she immediately went to this, I can't believe you convinced me to do this because now my business is out in the street.
Right.
And I was like, okay, we're going to classic blackdom.
Well,
Which is a medical issue, so I completely agree with her, but it also was this, it just, oh, it was painful.
I think that was of course, the immediate lash out of, hurt and pain, right? So I'm going to lash out on the person that's closest to me at the time,
Yeah.
which is Kara. But it's true, her business is on the street. So I think one of the things that women of advanced maternal age, okay, I'm gonna stop saying that. But Gabrielle Union is what, 40? I think
Yeah.
she's 40, right?
Yeah.
And so at that time, there's always this probably thought process when you're dating somebody, a man who, even if he doesn't have children, he probably feels like he can have children at any time. So he probably still wants to have his own biological children. So now what she's done in that instance, and I don't know if it had hit her, and maybe it did, was yes, now the whole world knows that you probably would have, has confirmed that you probably would have some challenges with having a biological child versus, maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, but now everybody does know. So that really probably could impact your dating pool and everything. You don't have anybody in waiting for you and wanting to have a child with you right immediately. So
Yeah.
maybe for her that really did feel like putting all her business out in the street. And
Yeah.
definitely her mom felt like, well, goodness gracious, now everybody knows.
With moms like that. But anyway, it comes from a place of love. Comes from a place of love. Um, so
What you think about her friend? Oh, I'm sorry. What were you
no, I
going to
was gonna say about the friends. Like these friends ain't loyal. Like, dude, I need you to like kick. I need you to tell some of these friends to kick rocks. Like,
say?
especially with the doctor chick. What's her name? Oh,
Lisa,
Lisa.
Lisa, I think. But does Mary Jane have any real friends?
No.
I don't think she has any real friends, but I don't know if she's an actual friend. Like she has the ability to just flash out on people. And it's just amazing how she can go from just normal talking to you to just crazy, just so angry. She
She,
feels like she has a lot of anger inside.
yeah. The circle of women that she rolls with are not her friends, and
No.
they're not her friends, and she's not theirs. They just get together and fake friendliness, and it's fascinating to me because they will let anybody into the circle, which is how I also know that they ain't friends. Because remember the episode
Oh.
where they had the stripper, and I'm like, I'm sorry, the stripper is still here
The
having
stripper
a
is
baby,
here, and while you're telling people that you stole somebody's sperm, you
and
have this lady who apparently tried to take your job and was unsuccessful or something, and she's there, and you're telling this is just way too much information
I was
that
like,
you're.
who are these chicks? Like, I'm like, I don't know any group of women that I'm like, at a minimum, I just don't understand why the stripper is still there. Like, participating in the conversation. I mean, I
And
just,
he was really into it, like, yeah, asking people questions and things like, what are you doing here,
but I was
sir, pack up your thonk and continue on.
like,
So
have you paid? Have you been paid? I need you to leave.
yes.
But I mean, anytime you have that whole scene to me was like, these people are not friends. They're just folks that get together and kick it and have a good time, but they're not friends. And they share intimate parts of their lives, but there's not a true relationship, meaningful, deep relationship there that has sustainable loyalty. And Lisa, I think, is incredibly dangerous right now. And I think that we'll see some more of that in the episode next week. I mean, she told David that about the whole sperm thing, and it's just messy. And Mary Jane is just, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing this potential new love interest and how she's gonna juggle all that.
Well, let's talk about Lisa real quick though. So, in some ways, do we have things in the chat? Hold on. I
Oh,
think
that would be
somebody.
me. I posted
Oh,
questions,
okay. I was like, is somebody trying to chat us up?
but
Okay.
the chat room is open for our one viewer that's out there.
Um.
Chime in.
So Lisa, you know, at least did come see about her, right? So out of all the other friends, she did come see about her, and then I think in a way she is a good friend in that she tried to tell Mary Jane about herself, right? And sometimes you do need somebody who's actually been there for a lot of your life. Sometimes these new friends, they really can't tell you anything, right? Because the new friends, you haven't really gone through anything, and you kind of are still developing the friendship, and you're still getting to know each other, and you haven't shared very intimate parts of your life. But somebody who's been, Lisa obviously has been around for a long time, maybe since college or something like that. That person knows you in and out. And so they can come and check you on some of your behaviors and when you're just, going off the deep end, which I think what Lisa was trying to do. Um, However, the dangerous piece of that is that you're not sure of her true motives because she does have this whole situation with David, I guess, where she liked David and he didn't like her or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I just don't know. I feel like could that be true that that's her motive, but could it be true that that's not my motive and you're just using that because you don't want to address the issues that I'm throwing up in front of you? So
Yeah. I don't
I
know.
don't.
There's potential there for, I guess, the unpeeling of some more depth with Lisa. I do know Kara is really.
Kara don't care. Kara don't care
Yeah,
about you.
you're
Kara
right
cares
about
about her job. Kara,
that.
she is friendly with you. She's that chick that at the work that you kiki with and have good big fun with, go and have drinks with or whatever. But at the same time, Kara kikiing about you behind somebody else's back. She
Yeah.
is one of those person that'll. She's one of those dogs that'll bring a bone to you, which means she bringing bones to other people.
Everybody.
Yeah, she one of those people. So you have to watch what you say in front of her.
You do. You do. She's dangerous.
Absolutely.
She gonna mess around and lose her job behind Kara.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So see, we went through that. I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues to develop. I think that there's only a couple more episodes, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not sure really how many more episodes are left, but I do find her story interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why they had her be 40
Well,
versus
Whiskey
32 or 34, or something like that.
the sisters over at Whiskey Wine and Moon, they recapped it. We recommended their podcast, their recap podcast a few weeks ago, and they kind of tussled with this notion of this portrayal of the educated professional black woman who would like to be married but just is doing it all wrong, and then we end up 40 and we're not married, and it's really our fault. About the throw shade, the Steve Harvey packaging.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, if you had
It's your
kept the
fault.
cook, if you had kept the cookie to yourself, you'd be married by now. So
Another podcast. So
yeah.
yeah, so all of that. There's this notion that we don't ever get married. Either we have kids young or we don't have kids at all. And if we don't have kids at all and we're professional, then our standards are too high and blah 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 blah. And so I do think that there's this portrayal of professional black women that she's supposed to be a archetype for. I don't know if she's really an archetype. I hope that she's not our archetype because I'm not checking for her. But there is a part of me that yeah, when they kind of launched the story, they launched the series, it was interesting, but I think that with time they've kind of narrowed it down to this is one woman's story
Hmm.
on a journey of being kind of 40 and
What does
wishing.
she wish for? Like I just feel like I'm not clear what she actually wants. I feel like she embarked on this and I think her dad kind of brought that and I feel like at 40, don't you know by now? I don't know. But it feels like her dad was like, "Look, I don't even think you really want to have kids." And because people who I mean from his perspective, people who want to have these things, marriage and kids or whatever, they do the things that lead to them getting married and
Yeah,
having kids, right?
yeah.
And so if that was really something that you wanted, you'd have gotten it by now. That's his perspective.
Well, I
And
think that
so
she feels entitled to them and that she doesn't have to make any sacrifices to attain those things. And it's just like when
I
she said,
deserve it. I deserve
"Yeah,
it because
I
I
deserve
did
it.
everything right.
I
I did
don't."
everything I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, just like she told her that friend that a couple episodes ago, I want the life that you have on Instagram. Child, don't nobody have that life. Stop.
Right. So which shows her naivete on understanding what real relationships and what real family means.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like Instagram all the time. And she tried to tell her that, but she still just doesn't seem to get it.
yeah.
And maybe her freezing her eggs, because again, she's 40. So I feel like these discussions probably should have been had before now. She has money. I don't know the way they
We
set it
don't
up
have
was,
friends.
but I'm saying the way they set it up was like, oh yeah, you can do it because now the TV station will pay for it. You live in this huge house and this if you really wanted to freeze your eggs, you could have done that 5 years ago. Like why
Right,
now you trying to wait on a free come up to
right.
freeze your eggs just seems so random.
No, she doesn't. To me, it's another indication that she don't have any friends. because there are periods in your life when you're good with your good girlfriends that you sit down and have conversations that are late into the night. You got the big Olivia Pope blast, and you are sitting there really going deep into each other's lives and really kind of saying, what am I doing and where am I going, and thinking about things. And I don't think that she has those mirrors in her life.
Because she doesn't have the ability to be that for anybody else, right? So, I mean, you're going to attract what you put out. And if you're just a nasty person, that's why you have nasty people around you. Your
Yeah.
mama nasty, your your brother's nasty, like everybody is just doing nasty things to people.
So that's being Mary Jane. So maybe next
Yeah.
time we'll have some time to talk about Empire, because there's all kinds of kind of
Oh
crazy.
yeah, interesting. I actually like one of your points. We were tweeting, so
Yes.
we try to tweet during these things sometimes when we can get some time to, but um, all these kind of isms that Lucius is prone to.
Mm,
So maybe we can talk about that, the intersection of mental illness and sexuality and classism and
mm.
whatever else is going on there.
All kinds of stuff for people on the come up. So yeah. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So, Mimi, where can they find you in the E
You
streets?
can find me on Twitter at Mimi Complex, and you can find me on my blog at www.complicatedmelody. That's melody with an I.
Good deal.
Complicatedmelody.com. And where can they find you?
They can find me at adoptiveblackmom.com. Same on Gmail, and Adoptive Black Mom on the Twitters, and the same on Facebook.
All right. All right. Well, it's been nice chatting with you, lady.
Nice chatting.
All
See
right. See
you
you in
in a
two
couple
weeks.
weeks. Bye.